If I were asked if you were a building, which one would you be? I would probably say Leighton House, because I'm born in West London and I practice my studios in West London. And also I'm of mixed cultural heritage, and it just feels that there's a resonance there.
Leighton House belongs to everybody, and I think it's great that it's where it is. What could be a better symbol of a wonderfully diverse capital city than a place like Leighton House, which is grounded in a version of diversity from the late 19th century.
So Leighton died in 1896 and he left the house to his two sisters, and there was immediately a kind of debate about what should happen to it. There was an idea it maybe could become the official residence of the president of the Royal Academy, but that didn't work. So the sisters tried to keep everything intact, so all his collections and the house as he had left it, so it could become an instant memorial to their brother, but they couldn't find a way of making that happen either. So the option they then took was to try and sell the house, but it didn't sell at auction because it only has one bedroom, and that was seen as obviously a problem. So the option that the sisters then followed was to sell all the contents, and that happened over an 8-day sale at Christie's in London in the summer of 1896. And that to this day remains something very much to be regretted, because the house and its contents were all conceived by Leighton as one presentation, one environment that he very carefully curated. So the house was then empty, the sisters couldn't sell it, and at that point Emily Barrington, who really has every right to be seen as the founder of Leighton House as a museum, or the saviour of Leighton House, she knew Leighton's sisters and she'd known him, and she herself was an artist and writer, so she said if they signed the lease over to her and others, she would reopen the house or open it to the public as a centre for the arts in Kensington. And so that's what happened. And for the next best part of 30 years, she ran it and seems to pretty much run it single-handedly and bankrolled it until she was in her mid-80s and realised that she needed to try and find a way of ensuring it would be preserved for the future. And so she approached Kensington Council, as it was then, and said that she would hand it over to the council, or was prepared to do so. And the council took it on that basis as a centre, again, not as a museum about Leighton, but as a centre for art, music and literature in Kensington. And the council has remained the owner and operator of the museum ever since then, and has really been key to its survival and restoration over this last 100 years. This house went through a tremendous roller coaster ride through the 20th century of falling into a poor state of repair. It was bomb damaged twice in the Second World War, and when it was restored not in any way to try and make it look like it had once looked. It was simply to make it usable again.
I'm a museum person, and I got involved in Leighton House with the friends back in 1970. My wife and I wrote a book on Leighton very early on, when he was still somewhat out of favour. Leighton House has certainly been through many different guises over the past 100 years. It's been a children's library, a theatre museum. It's had amazing ups and downs. And I think that's what's extraordinary, that it's come full circle. It's amazing how it became what was regarded as a liability, to becoming the jewel in the crown. for much of the 20th century, Lord Leighton was cancelled along with other Victorian artists and architects. So it's wonderful to see it come alive again in no uncertain terms. And it does so much for the arts in Kensington and wider than that. And I think that's what, for those of us who battled here to put it on the map and make sure it's really appreciated, that really matters.
My first impressions of visiting the house, I was easily seduced by the exotic interiors, quite extraordinary. But not just the visual qualities, I also enjoyed the sound qualities within the main spaces. There's a very distinctive difference as you move through those spaces. But then the initial practical sense was that there were a lot of shortcomings and a lot of deficiencies that needed attention.
We were first involved at Leighton House following the work that Dante did. So we first came involved in about 2008 when we were looking really at the feasibility of that final piece in how you can complete the restoration and recovery of the house, which Dante had begun, but then bring through some of the maybe more modern visitor facilities and a kind of modest expansion. The interesting thing about Leighton House is that it had evolved over time under the guidance and authorship of Leighton.
There was a particular vision and a particular architectural ambition that was preserved throughout, and every now and again you can see it.
Yeah, you're right. I think reflecting on it, I guess the lesson is the sort of bravery in that continual evolution and reinvention of what Leighton House was, can continue to be. And it was that bravery and with a rigour around the thinking and the understanding of the place that gives you that authenticity to keep going, and in a way that is going to create a sense of kind of coherency with the whole, and a piece that has a confidence but is a quiet voice in the whole conversation. I think when you work on projects like this, these are pretty unique, and you have to invest yourself in a project like this and a place like this, and that investiture means that every time I come here, I'm immensely proud and privileged to have worked on in a place like this, and I'm just super grateful that people enjoy it and people can have a great time here, have a sort of fulfilling visit, and can come back, throughout the year, because it's that kind of place.
I've been made to feel welcome here for about 25 years, and it is quite extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, we're quite lucky as architects, and it's not lost on us.
So I think I became a trustee in 2014, and then it was in 2016 that things started gathering momentum, and we made the application to the lottery. So suddenly faced with having to raise, I think it was 300,000 to get to the next stage, that's when we realised that we had to up our game. More trustees, and particularly we needed a chair. And that's when you became chair.
We raised a significant sum of money, and that was a huge effort by a lot of people to spread the word, to persuade individuals to help, foundations to help.
We believed in the project and we managed to persuade others.
And we had a tagline which worked really well: hidden gem to national treasure. They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everybody stepped up. It was incredible.
Everybody stepped up. Yeah. It's been a fabulous thing to have been part of, hasn't it?
It's been great fun. The Flaming June sketch is a minute sketch of the picture that Leighton was planning, and turns out to be his most famous picture, called Flaming June. In order for that picture to emerge, the way Leighton painted was that he would make a sketch and then, as it were, blow up the sketch into the finished article. And if you look at the two together, you can see how that came about. In March 2023, the picture became available. I had a very strong feeling that we needed to see if we could get it. So I plucked my courage up. We then had a sort of an hour's worth of negotiation on price, which didn't change very much, unfortunately. And so then I thought, well, the thing to do is give Daniel a surprise. And it was I think it was a Thursday afternoon. I said, look, come to Martin Beasley's gallery. And when we got there, he showed up at 2:30, and Martin went and got this beautiful little wooden case. And I said, Daniel, look. And he looked down and he burst into tears.
We all burst into tears, actually. It was a very emotional moment because the picture is so very much clearly needs to be here. And you made it, and you made it happen.
Made it happen.
So I first had the opportunity to exhibit at Leighton House back in 2013, and it was a partnership between myself, the Noor Festival, and Leighton House. The project was called Huria, meaning freedom, and it explored the theme of freedom through words, but also through dance. It was a huge changing project for me and a change for my practice, and I think it was instrumental in where I am now. One of the things which I found quite moving was to be in another artist's home and studio. I wonder how Leighton would feel that his story is continuing and expanding and evolving through the many different walks of life and artists that come into the space.
So we were working with a famous 60s photographer called Duffy. He was part of that sort of triumvirate of Bailey and Donovan. And he was directing Gold. And we had this idea together of shooting down in the heat and the dust of southern Spain near Seville. And then we were looking for an interior that would sort of suit that look. And someone mentioned here. And we came and saw it. And you know, I think it had a sort of 80s quality about it. It was flamboyant, and I think there was an intrigue about the place that had a sort of exoticism that I think suited the time. And so we set up in here. And I remember one thing we did, which I'm still worried about, is we put gold into the fountain. I'm not quite sure what it was, and I hope we haven't destroyed the filter system. But there's a shot, obviously, where Tony picks up the water and gold drips through his fingers. The Arab Hall means so much to me because, you know, Gold ended up being an enormous song. That's still gets played and sung by all generations. And I can point back to this. The young woman who was in the video, I ended up marrying and having a son with. So there's another importance there in this room for me. And then quite a few years later, I ended up having my 40th birthday celebration in this building. So yeah, it's definitely a few chapters in my life.
For me, Leighton House is a kind of perfect cross-cultural meeting place. It is a hugely privileged place where you can see different cultures talking to each other, and you can see people of different cultures talking to each other in relation to the art and the architecture and the wall decoration. I mean, it's where cultural discussion really comes together in a place where we can challenge ourselves, we can wonder about how it originated, but we can also see ourselves partly reflected, partly not reflected, in a wonderful, safe space. We can all get here and we can argue about stuff and about culture and about East and West in a way that somehow is legitimate, it's allowed, and that's really what, it's about where multiculturalism comes to work on itself, because multiculturalism is hard work, and Leighton House is a great place for doing that hard work.
So looking ahead to the next 100 years of Leighton House, I hope it doesn't go through some of the traumas it went through in the last 100 years, and the building is looked after and cared for, and in terms of what's inside it, it would be wonderful to think that the collections will continue to grow and it will become ever more like it was. But like so many historic buildings, it's all about the life of it and what it means to people. And I think the thing is, it's a place essentially of creativity. It was built as an artist's studio house, and maybe looking ahead 100 years, we can't predict what that creativity will look like or how it would be expressed, but it'd be wonderful to think that this museum remains a living space where that's very kind of central, fundamental to everything that the museum is about.
I practice the Sufi side of Islam, so I'm very much interested in the mystical dimensions of the universe in general. And I was delighted to find that there is this excerpt from Hizb al-Bahr, which is a litany, which is for protection. And, it's wonderful to walk into a space where there's an awareness that blessings and protection are there to benefit everyone, regardless who they are. So they're coming to enjoy that space, to look at the tiles with joy, but also to receive protection, to receive blessings. And I think that's something we all could do right now in this world.